Seahenge puzzle. Structures from 4,000 years ago were created in response to climate change. In 1999, the media reported on the sensational discovery of a second Stonehenge a year earlier on one of the beaches in Norfolk, Great Britain. The wooden circle was built over 4,000 years ago. Years ago, referred to as Seahenge, and a second, similar one discovered soon afterwards, occupied the minds of scientists trying to understand what the structures were used for. New research suggests they formed in response to a period of extreme climate deterioration. In 1998, in the town of Holme next the sea in the county of Norfolk on the east coast of Great Britain, the sea revealed a strange structure. It consisted of an oak trunk dug into the ground upside down and surrounded by 55 other, also oak, poles arranged in a circle. This structure was referred to in newspapers as the second Stonehenge or Stonehenge of the Sea, and over time the name Seahenge stuck to it, although officially it is called Holme. Soon, a second, similar structure was unveiled next to the first structure. It differed in that two flat oak logs were placed in its center. It was named Holme 2. Research carried out at the time determined, through analysis of the rings of the trees used to build the structure, that Seahenge, along with the nearby second ring, was built from trees felled in the spring or summer of 2049 BC, at the beginning of the Bronze Age in Britain. Scientists also determined that the place where both structures were built was 4,000 years old. Years ago it was far from the sea. Back then, there were probably swamps in this place, and the structures protected the dunes and plains from the sea. Over time, sand and mud covered the structures. Some scientists suggested that both structures were created to commemorate some outstanding person, a warrior or a leader. Others pointed out that they were used for the so-called air funerals or heavenly funerals, in which the body is exposed to predatory birds. This form of burial is practiced in some parts of Asia. The oak trunks were perfectly preserved mainly due to the peat surrounding them. But after they were partially exposed by the sea and then carefully excavated by archaeologists, they were exposed to the sun, winds, sea, or frost, which could have led to their rapid destruction. Therefore, in 1999, researchers moved Holme to the museum. Holme 2 was left in place to see how it would withstand difficult weather conditions. In new research published in GeoJournal, Dr. David Nance from the University of Aberdeen came up with yet another idea. Using a combination of climatic and environmental data, astronomical and biological evidence, and regional folklore, the scientist concluded that Seahenge was built during a period of significant deterioration of climatic conditions, a cooling, frosty climate, for the purpose of performing rituals intended to bring about the return of good, warm weather and long summers. Dating the trees used to construct Seahenge showed that they were cut down in the spring, and it was most likely that the trunks were aligned with the summer solstice sunrise, Nance said. We know that the period in which the circles were built 4,000 years ago was a prolonged period of significantly lower temperatures and harsh winters and late springs, which exposed the communities living there to stress. It seems most likely that these monuments had a common goal of ending this existential threat, he added. According to Nance, the two structures had slightly different roles. Holme was built to resemble a birdcage described in folklore, intended to trap the singing cuckoo and thus prolong summer. The summer solstice was the date when, according to folklore, the cuckoo, symbolizing fertility, stopped singing and returned to the other world, and with it summer passed away, said the researcher. The The rituals that Nance suggests were to be performed at Holmei were intended to symbolically stop summer by imprisoning or keeping a cuckoo. According to him, the form of the structure appears to imitate the winter dwelling of the cuckoo found in folklore, represented by an upside-down oak trunk in the center of the monument. According to folklore, the cuckoo was placed in a thorn bush to extend the summer, but the bird always flew away. Meanwhile, Holm too, as the author of the publication suggests, had a completely different function. It was created as a burial mound in which a man, sacrificed in rituals to appease the goddess Venus, was buried, who was supposed to be responsible for the well-being and safety of the community, but he failed in this role. Against the backdrop of harsh winters and difficult times, a local chief offered himself to the gods and was buried here, suggests Nance. According to him, people were ritually sacrificed every 8 years during the Gaelic festival of Samhain, which was celebrated on the evening of October 31st, like Halloween today. The two monuments can be explained as structures with different functions and associated rituals, but with a common goal: to end bad weather, Nance explained.